certainly the safest place is where God wants you to be, huh? I mean, that's really the safest. You want to be safe, just be where God wants you to be. It's not always easy. It can be tough, but it's the safest place to be. I'll give you want a good biblical example? Just happened to run across it the other day. Hold your place there and go with me real quick to Jeremiah chapter 26. So I've been reading through Jeremiah for Sunday mornings. I ran across a story I thought would fit perfectly with us tonight. Because in the beginning of Jehoiakim's reign, now he's one of the later kings that ruled right before Nebuchadnezzar came in and wiped out Jerusalem. But in verse 2 of Jeremiah 26, the Lord came to speak to Jeremiah. And he said this to him, "You go stand in the court of the Lord's house and speak to all the cities of Judah when they come to worship in the Lord's house, all the words that I command you to speak, and don't diminish a word. Perhaps everyone will listen and turn from his evil ways, that I can relent concerning the calamity which I purpose to bring on them because of the evil of their doings. This is what you shall say to them. Thus saith the Lord, if you will not listen to me, if you will not walk in the law which I have set before you, to heed the words of my servants, the prophets, whom I sent to you, both rising up early and sending them, but you have not heeded, that I will make this house like Shiloh and this city a curse to all of the nations of the earth." Well, the priests and the prophets, we read, hear this. And as Jeremiah verse 8 was making an end to speaking, the priests and the prophets and the people grabbed him and said, "You're going to die. Why have you prophesied to us in the name of the Lord?" And they dragged him to the king. Now, when they did and they heard him out, the judgment in verse 16 and 17 and 18 through that portion there was that he didn't really do anything to deserve death. He's spoken in the name of the Lord, and so they left him alone. He got away with preaching in the face of a wicked and horrible people, and God protected him. I'll watch over you, he had told him when he started his ministry, and indeed the Lord did. Stood in great danger, God used him. But if you flip ahead to Jeremiah 26, let's see. While Jeremiah stayed the course, where's this other guy? Verse 20, we read this. "Now there was also a man who prophesied in the name of the Lord, whose name was Urijah. And he came from Kirjath-jearim to prophesy against this city and against this land with the same words of Jeremiah. But when Jehoiakim the king with all of his mighty men and princes heard his words, the king sought to punish him with death. And rather than standing still and trusting the Lord, Uriah, he heard about it, he was afraid, and he fled to Egypt. And Jehoiakim sent his guys down there. And in verse 23, when they caught him, they killed him. And they threw his body into a common grave. Nevertheless, verse 24, the hand of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, was with Jeremiah, so they should not give him into the hands of the people to put him to death. So I think if you're where God wants you to be, you're fine. I think this Urijah guy might have been running on his own because he got dead, you know. Jeremiah preached the same sermon, and he was fine because the Lord said, "You go stand there and don't diminish the words." And the other guy goes, "Hey, I can do this too." "Yeah, and you can die." So Paul was in the right place. He stayed the course. He could stand the heat. You know, if you can't stand the heat, you know how that goes.